So they took me out of this plane and I started to see the planet Earth, the solar system, the universe, the galaxy, and the different dimensional planes. At that moment, I don't remember if I saw 12 dimensional planes and different races of beings as they were sort of extracting me. Imagine, I tell them, I try to explain that it's as if it were a notebook with lines, as if I were here and they were moving me up line by line, and each line had its own planets, its own forms of life, its own beings, are some biological, others not so biological.
Hello. Thank you for joining us for this new episode of Out of the Matrix in the Invisible. Today I have the pleasure of introducing a very special person. She is Mexican, a channeler and medium, very popular in her country with more than 300,000 followers on her social media. But above all, I can guarantee that she is an excellent human being. Please welcome Akisha. Hello, Akisha. It's a pleasure. I wanted to invite you to this space for a while, but now we finally have you here. So on behalf of the community and on my own behalf, welcome and thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you very much, Esteban, to you and your wonderful audience and your beautiful, lovely community. It's a pleasure. And actually, you don't know this, but for me, you have been a guide, a beacon, even a teacher. I first met you in a WhatsApp group during a masterclass you gave. I was one of your students, so maybe you don't remember. It's been a while. So thank you and welcome to everyone who is watching this beautiful episode. I hope that something here will resonate in your heart with much love.
I remember perfectly. In fact, you caught my attention during that experience. So, Akisha, first for people who don't know you, right? Who is Akisha? And how did you start on this spiritual path, ending up as a channeler and a medium? Was there a very significant event in your life that determined that?
Look, it's hard to pinpoint and say on this day, on this date, because I feel that what you are, you already are. You already are even before you are born. You already bring a plan for your soul that you become aware of at a certain moment in your life. Yes. And that's what happened to me, becoming aware of these so-called gifts, though I think they're really abilities that, from my point of view, we can all develop, but some of us are just born with a more finely tuned antenna, maybe also because of experiences from other lives. But for me, it happened when I was 40 years old. Not that I had never felt, detected, or perceived the spirit world or the invisible world before. I think I talked about this in one of my first videos, which had a big impact on social media. It was when I shared that as a child, I went to my first wake, my first funeral, and I saw how the person, Ramona, a very dear neighbor from my childhood, was in the coffin, and suddenly I saw her sit up. But I didn't see it with these physical eyes. I saw it with the spiritual eye, So I perceive it, and then I say to her, Ramona, you're not dead, right? And that's the story I share in that video. I'll upload it again later so it's fresh and everyone can go and check it out. But ever since, then I thought these were things that happened to everyone, that it was normal. As a child, I felt like everyone else was seeing it too. I didn't know that I was the only one perceiving it. And from there, I started having a series of nightmares, like many people who don't, or children who don't know how to channel everything that's happening to them from the spirit world. They feel like they're just having nightmares. This Ramona would come at night over a long period of time, let's say 2 months, just to give an idea, because I don't have the exact dates, every night, trying to talk to me, but I would think she's dead. She escaped from the cemetery. She comes and wakes me up. She's a demon. I mean, I would...
And as a child, of course, you were scared.
Absolutely. I was extremely scared. And I would talk to my moms and my dad, and they would say, well, pray the Our Father and use holy water and sleep with us. But it didn't stop, So every day I had that visit, and then there were many visits. People would die at school, in middle school, and almost all of it happened in dreams. It was dream mediumship. Now I can give it a name, a label, And later, a boyfriend also passed away, and sorry, I'll let you talk. But these are things that now at 40 years old, I say, oh, so this was that and that was this. You start connecting the dots, you start tying threads together, and you realize, no, I've always had this. But there wasn't that awareness of knowing what it was called or putting a label on it, much less developing it. But right?
Of course, absolutely. In fact, I think it's a pretty classic factor among all people who are sensitive and who work with these topics, that as children, we had experiences and usually had a hard time with them. We didn't know how to understand it. We didn't give it a name. Many times we kept it to ourselves. In my case, I kept it to myself and didn't share it with anyone. And then, of course, over time, when you become aware as an adult, you start to connect the dots, right? And, oh, look, this was because of that, and that was because of something else. Hey, Akisha, and before you started doing this, what did you do for a living? What was your field before?
I graduated from university with a degree in administration, specializing in marketing and global business.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, nothing to do with this.
I studied economics too.
Oh, really? And I actually worked for 12 years in that field as a manager at a national company here in Mexico. Well, I reached the top levels of, at that point, people would ask me, what's next after this? Well, to fire the general manager and the owner, right? And that's it. You keep climbing and climbing the ladder, and you think there must be something more, and it just doesn't fulfill you. In fact, when I look at my notebooks from back then, Esteban, I remember my planners used to say at the beginning, my soul is in a hurry. We're talking about the 2000s, more than 20 years ago, right? And now when I look at them, I think, wow, your spirit has always called out to you, that the world, your soul has always shouted, there's something more, not everything material is all there is. But anyway, in terms of the third dimensional hierarchy, that's what I was doing. I have 4 children, a husband, my kids are homeschoolers, educated at home by their mom, always wanting to break free from all systems. I started with projects to generate income with my own hands, so to speak, businesses, so I wouldn't have to be inside a traditional work system. So I left the workforce, the corporate system, the educational system, and also the religious system when I started to realize that I had the ability not to need intermediaries, just like everyone listening to us, that we are a direct channel to the source. So that's what I dedicated myself to. My own businesses, educating my children, and well, I set my profession aside and gradually left everything else behind. It was like gradually leaving the system and really starting to realize who you are and beginning to connect with all of this. When everything truly arrived was on March 21st, 2021, when, as I say, my mind was suddenly blown open. A voice came to me saying, there is no more time. The moment is now. The moment is right now. There is no more time. But it was such a clear voice, not a spoken voice, but a knowing that shouts at you that you just know. And I started to write down what was coming to me, which is clear knowing. And I wrote a book about the history of humanity, about Lemuria, Egypt, Sirius, other planes, dimensions, the dark night, the galactic winter, the day, the galactic day, the age of Aquarius, the awakening of consciousness, the new humanity, the 5th dimension. I mean, all things I had never heard of before, nor did I know there were people who talked about this. I thought I was crazy. I ended up seeing a psychologist. I ended up going to a psychiatrist, asking for help from my own children, my own friends, my close circle, because I truly felt completely out of touch with reality. And in that world outside of all reality, I have continued living since 2021, but now it doesn't scare me, it doesn't frighten me, it doesn't make me afraid. Now I love it, I embrace it, I enjoy it, and I prefer to live in a 5th dimensional world with a higher consciousness rather than still tangled up in the 3rd dimension in the doing. I prefer to be focused on being the best quality of life, not on being the best quality person I can be.
Excellent, what a tremendous change. Notice that we're actually on a podcast called Outside the Matrix and on the channel The Invisible. So it's very fitting. Hey, you make a distinction because you define yourself as a medium and as a channeler. What you just said, I associate it more with channeling than with mediumship. But for people who don't know or have never heard the term channeling, how would you define channeling?
Look, I'm against labels. In other words, labels, and I just don't get along from the start. But we do need to define something so that our mind, our structure can grasp an idea. So channeling is exactly what the word says. To be a channel, to want to be a medium for something, okay? And in this case, channeling beings of light, your own divinity, your higher self, your quantum double, beings from other dimensional planes that are invisible or imperceptible to human biology. We can all be that channel of communication. In religions, they teach you that you have to go to a specific person to help you, someone who has the necessary abilities or credentials, like a priest, a pastor, a nun, and so on, right? Now, what are you going to connect with? That's the real question. What are you going to connect with? Because if you open yourself up as a spirit to connect or to be a channel, as a channeler, there's so much more out there. I dare say, just to put a number on it, that what we see and perceive as humans is only 1% of what really exists of the invisible.
I completely agree. Yes, of course.
So you open yourself up as a channel, and be careful, because then you might connect with the other 99% that you didn't even know existed. And that's when the fears, the anxieties, the insecurities start, the lower astral, the demons, that's why you need to have a clean channel. That's where we're headed. It's about having a clean channel. The most important thing is to know yourself as a person, to cleanse yourself as a person, cleanse all your fields, all your bodies, all your dimensions, to know that you are not just a physical body, that you have several bodies, to focus on all of them, and to always be on an ABC channel, as my guides tell me. I talk a lot about my guides. I call them they from now on. Whenever I say they, I mean my spiritual guides. The ABC card means to conduct yourself as a person from a place of love, kindness, and compassion. So if you are a suitable person with ethics, with morals, always guided by unconditional love for everyone, kindness toward others, empathy, and compassion, doing daily acts of love as if you were God incarnate, thinking about how God would act through you, and that's how you raise your vibrational frequency. And here we're already getting into things that scientists are actually putting into books then, right? Like the case of Dr. Hawkins, who created the scale of vibrational frequencies, where he tells us that the highest vibrational frequency is gratitude, unconditional love, thankfulness, vibrating in love, and so on. And the lowest ones are guilt, fear, shame, and so on, and the I can't, etc., etc., where you've often been kept by that belief system, from where we've grown up in cultures and so on, right? So the idea is that if you are a channeler, if you're going to open yourself up to the world of spirit, to say, I want to. Right now, there are a lot of people that I love, I kind of perceive I love, right? And they sell courses.
First, you have to do internal work, right?
Exactly. Hopefully, because we're like cooks, aren't we? I mean, anyone can cook for you, make you a cake or a pie, but not everyone is a chef specialized in cakes. So
exactly.
You dedicate yourself to that. So you have to be careful when you open yourself up. I tell people, I leave this here as a warning. Just because you take a course or a workshop, especially if it's online or something like that, it doesn't mean you're going to open up. It's your internal work, your coherence between your being, what you think, what you feel, what you say, and how you live your daily life, that will gradually clear your channel so you can connect with love and gratitude to the higher realms of light and truly to the divinity that you are. And be careful, if you open up when you're in fear, resentment, guilt, shame, or in discord with others, you're going to make contact with other beings who are like us, but you won't like it. So just be careful with that.
Exactly. And they tune into that frequency.
Exactly.
You know, I always tell people that everything related to the invisible or extrasensory, in the end, you can often question it, but you never question how many radio waves are around you, how many cell phone waves are around you. We don't see them, but we know they exist. It's the same thing. Just like there are radio waves, there are other types of frequencies, right? Or waves, to put it another way.
That's right.
You work in the field of consciousness, expansion training. I wanted to ask you more or less, what are the aspects you work on in those trainings? And what benefits do people get when they take a training like that with you?
Well, it's really just teamwork, to give it a nice name. so that people say, oh, well, let's go for it.
Oh, so they understand it?
Or so they understand it. Actually, one of the missions of my character here incarnated on Earth is to help you realize who you are. And I love that phrase, you are not your body, you are not the character you've clung to.
Uh-huh.
The one you've become so attached to, the one your whole world revolves around. Imagine this was a pole and you're stuck to it spinning around. I'm the engineer, I'm the architect, I'm the mother of this, I'm the child of that, I'm the one who has this, I'm the one who... You're not that. Detach yourself from that. You are the divine essence. You are a potential co-creator in the vast universe. You have the potentiality of God within you. You are not in you. You are in God. You are living in God. You are part of the creator God. So from there, I guide them to introspect, to ask themselves the fundamental, transcendental questions that any human being, from my perspective, this is not any absolute truth, should ask themselves. The sooner the better. In my case, by the age of 6, I was already asking myself who I am and what I'm doing here because I never felt like I belonged. Not to my family, not to my school, not to my social circle, not even to my mom, not to anyone. I would say, Mom, did I really come from you? Because, well, I just didn't feel like I belonged. I was the odd one, the different one. Then I was always asking myself who I was. Are you so-and-so's daughter? So-and-so's mom? And I was like, no, I don't want to know whose daughter I am. I don't want to know where I study. I don't want to know whose sister I am. It wasn't until I was 40 that I said, please help me to see myself. I would pray to God, you know. I would say, help me to see myself the way you see me. Tell me who I am. Help me to see myself as who I really am. I mean, help me to see myself from the outside, who I truly am. I'm tired of this. After many dark nights of the soul, so that's how I guide them. But with love, not from... You know, in this plane of dualities, we often learn through suffering, with illnesses, with deaths.
Most of the time, people learn from that.
Exactly. But there is another way.
Unfortunately.
Total. I discovered that there is another way, a way through love. Learn gently from a place of love and little by little become aware of the lessons, because it's not about taking a course, writing down lots of pretty notes, highlighting them with markers, taking them home and reading them from time to time. No, you have to act in alignment with what you're absorbing, with what you're seeing. In fact, if you watch this video and there's something you think, oh, I shouldn't react when something external, makes me lose my temper. So how should I act? Like the divine consciousness that I am. If I am the owner of this experience, how would I like this character to experience this situation, this experience? Well, I receive what the other person says, but that's not mine. That belongs to them. So thank you for the lesson, teacher. I'll take this with me and move forward. You don't get hooked. So it's really beautiful to learn from a place of love when you're waking up and advancing in your level of consciousness. So how do I do it? By asking them the fundamental questions, giving them a set of questions to ask themselves, to introspect, to recognize that the light is within, that they dwell in God, that God is not some bearded man out there, that they don't need intermediaries. And with the meditation, we close the connection. As I say, I expand their heart, their toroidal field. I make them feel the energy physically, and I help them connect with the divinity that they are, always asking for guidance and help from the highest energy, from the greatest love, so that it may assist them in their own process. And I also provide techniques and tools for how in my daily life I program water, deprogram food from nanotechnology, from chemicals, toxins, and so on. How it is in daily actions, living righteously, and so on. We all know this because your heart does not deceive you. We all have the compass within us, which is the soul, the heart, the one that guides you. But sometimes we like to stray from it. So it's quite a call to action to practice spirituality in daily conscious action within your own circles. And from there, you are already on your soul's mission.
Exactly. Look, I always think, and I always share with people that from my point of view, the most important thing is the spaces of silence. The spaces of silence where we, through those spaces of silence, can begin to recognize who we are. And when you start to recognize who you are. And it's not an easy journey, because usually those journeys confront you with your light and your shadow. But when you are honest enough to take that inner journey and reconnect with who you truly are at your core, Eventually, there comes a point where you no longer have questions, but rather certainties about life. And when you live from that place, you no longer need to look outside yourself. You know, I noticed that sometimes there are a lot of people who try to achieve some kind of expansion of their consciousness, always from the outside, as if someone else could do it for you. When all of that work, all of it, depends on ourselves. We have the ability to find our own answers, clarity, and insights about the life project we came here to fulfill. When we turn inward and reach that depth, you will finally understand why you are here and who you are, and you'll realize that who you are is not necessarily the same character you always identified with because of the belief systems you were taught, the upbringing you had, or the society you live in. In short, I believe that the main teacher for each of us is ourselves. And that is the most important thing, okay? There is no better teacher for you than yourself, but for that, you have to come to understand who you are. That's how I feel about it.
And that's what my guides call the mastery of being. You are in the mastery of being, yet you are looking for external teachers, like when Buddha, Siddhartha, Jesus, Shiva, and so on arrived. See external teachers. We are no longer in that era. That already happened and it didn't work. If you notice, they left. They came to deliver a message of love to show how they could do it and that you could too. And down here, we created religions, methods, structured forms of control, and beliefs, what to believe, and so on. That didn't work on an individual level, so now it's as if divinity itself said, hey, I'm going to advance myself in many little pieces. Now, there are many of us who are called to the path of consciousness and to recognize that there are no longer external teachers. The teacher is within? Absolutely.
Akisha, do you think that nowadays there is some kind of spiritual awakening happening on a global level, or do you not see it that way?
Yes, absolutely. I don't have faith, nor do I have hope. I am certain that it is so. The people who come to me for consultations every day say things like, I see, I feel, I hear, I had a hunch, I saw, I sensed, I read, I knew. Well, now what you need to do, I always give them a little piece of advice, and they laugh at me because I tell them, look, you see, this is a pill. Actually, it's a quartz crystal, but it's a pill. I'm giving it to you as a gift. You're going to take it, and that pill is called certainty. That pill is called I believe in myself. That pill is called I accept that I am completely. Call it whatever you want. Clairvoyant, completely. Receptive to the spirit world, a fully conscious being. You are the new humanity that is longing for someone to come and promote and see outside. You are the new humanity. And yes, there is a new wave happening. I say they're like waves. I'm sure there were, I'm certain, before ours. Those of us now in our 30s, 40s, 50s, there were surely others before. As teacher Dolores Cannon used to say, they're waves, right? That are awakening, and I firmly believe, I'm absolutely sure that because of the structural changes the planet Earth itself is undergoing, by raising its frequency, that after thousands of years at frequency 7 hertz, vibrating at 7 hertz, right now we've hit spikes of over 100. Last week, if I remember correctly, we were at more than 40 something hertz. So to go through the and everything on Earth, for those who don't understand about Mother Earth, is vibrating at the same vibrational frequency. Everything is energy. So we're talking about a frequency of 7 here for thousands of years, and suddenly they turn up the volume or the heat or the temperature to 44, 3-4 times higher. It's like bam. So from there comes a massive awakening of consciousness. And those who are meant to awaken will awaken. And if nothing happens to you, if you don't hear ringing in your ears, you don't see, you don't feel, you don't have intuition, you believe, then it's just not your time yet. Wait, you're still cooking. We're each on our own path, each at our own pace in our inner mastery, and the journey is individual. Just because others have already awakened or are already on this path, it doesn't mean they're better than you or that they're masters. Maybe they can show you the little path they've taken, and you can take what resonates in your heart using your own discernment and say this way and make your own path. So yes, I firmly believe in that.
That's right. In the end, we shouldn't force the timing. The the universe has its own timing, and we have our own timing as well, depending on what we have to experience and how we've been building our existence here.
Absolutely.
What do you think are the main obstacles that most people face in achieving a spiritual awakening?
Fear. I would say if I had to name one, like, it's fear. It's like I've already dreamed. A voice told me, get up and do this. But no, how am I going to leave my job to dedicate myself to holistic therapies? How, in what way? How am I going to tell people, and what will people think? Who am I? Lack of certainty about knowing who you are, and fear of what is unknown to most people. If you are acting out of fear, you will never leave your comfort zone. You have to make yourself uncomfortable, and you have to learn. I am a firm believer that learning and self-education will lead you to knowledge that breaks through the barrier of fear, because the mind loves forms, structures, and knowing things. And now, thanks to so many people who have already been writing books, like Brian Weiss, Elizabeth Rob Cross, and now Dr. Sans Zagara, about the studies, and the ones you yourself published, and shared with us about near-death experiences, about Dolores Cannon, and so on. All these people who have already put themselves out there to give you, in a structured way, more or less, from the scientific spiritual or psycho-spiritual perspective, we could call it, they give you a range to say, wow, no, it exists. They give you a thread to start unraveling. It's up to you to search. It's up to you to open yourself up to that. And the recommendation I give you is, yes, study, read, investigate, search. But you reach a point where you say, enough. You get saturated with so many courses, with so much from the outside, and that's when you're reaching the neutral point, the surgical point of arriving at yourself. So in silence, close your eyes, close your senses, close your ears, your feelings, and go within. I'm not going to tell you to meditate for 50 minutes in lotus position, but in silence, ask yourself the one most transcendental question you have at that moment, and remain silent. Listen to your heart. Listen to how it beats, to the blood running through you. Listen to your own flavor, so to how your sound resonates. Listen to the sound of silence. How many times have you been there? Without even realizing it, because you're not observant. Like being aware of the moment, of the here and now. And well, distance yourself from fear. While you're there, just ask to connect with the love that you are, with true light, with peace, with the power of God, divine wisdom. And from that place, nothing can reach you in a state of fulfillment, of joy, of love, of gratitude. Nothing can touch you. It's like radio trying to get into FM, it just can't. So please, stay away from fear. They showed me that they are two opposite ends of the same thermometer. I said to them, how can it be that love is the opposite of fear, and yet they're the same? They're two sides of the same coin. It's exactly the same with light and darkness. And the guides showed me a thermometer and said, 100 degrees, 0 degrees. They're two extremes. It's like that snake's, a cubus, what's it called? A cubus. Well, forgive me if I can't remember the name. It's the one that's eating its own tail, right? So it's exactly the same thing. You're afraid of what's chasing you, but it's your own tail. So that you simply choose to act and see from the head, from the other end, and not from here. And how do I do that? You have the power within you. There's no one who's going to come with some Palo Santo, some salt, and do a cleansing or whatever, or a meditation, anything like that. They can guide you, no? But it's you, the power of your intention and your love, recognizing who you are, that can move you away from fear. That's the main, I would say, reason for separation and lack of connection. Fear.
Yes, and I agree with you. You know, I'm lucky to have taken kind of the opposite path from most people, because I was someone who, as an adult, right, very connected to reason, to mental structure. But well, due to life circumstances, I started to go through dark night of the soul processes, and that made me go deep within myself. And I was lucky to have many moments of silence, and that made the journey unfold in that way. And when I already had my own insights and clarity, and I reconnected with who I am at my core, and that essence doesn't have many questions, but rather lives with certainty, it was then that I started to recognize other people, but deep down I was just confirming what I had already internalized. I mean, everything I've read afterwards, a lot of those things resonate with me, but they resonate not because I got them from there, but because I experienced them myself. And that's the reverse path. It's not about looking outside to grow yourself, but rather it's like you go inward and then you can confirm your path. And that's what I would tell people. The most important thing is always to look inward, because when we're taking in too much information that is often contradictory, it won't get you anywhere. Besides, there's so much of everything. Like, some things resonate and others don't. But in the end, all of that also has to do with the construction of the mind. They are mental structures that will make you adopt certain stances and belief systems. But if you don't experience them for yourself, that's all they are, a belief system. But when you do experience them, you start to function not from a mental structure, but from within, from the heart, from who you truly are. And that's the ideal for me. Do you have any story, any experience, maybe a message or a connection that has impacted you that you could share with us here?
Mediumistic? Or I have so many.
Something, the one that stands out to you the most, the one that comes. It could be mediumistic, it could be a channeled message.
Look at the first one in channeling was this one, the one I told you about. The one that impacted me the most was seeing the solar system, the planet Earth from the outside. I was just like, I am here with you, sitting at a table. I was writing, but introspecting. I mean, I was in active meditation because I was doing therapeutic writing. Like, why do I feel this way? What's happening in my life? Do I really want this? Introspecting, asking myself questions and answering them myself. And I was in that at my table when suddenly I start to see a movie, but with my eyes open. I don't know how to explain it to you, because if you haven't experienced it, those of you watching us, it's hard to put the world of the spirit into words because information just comes to you. It's like a block. I feel like it's a block. Boom. A lot of information comes to you all at once. And to put it into words and structure it here, I just can't. No, I don't have a way to do it. So I try. Then they took me out of this plane and I start to see planet Earth and the solar system, the universe, the galaxy, and the different dimensional planes. At that moment, I don't remember if I saw 12 dimensional planes and different races of beings as they were sort of pulling me out. Imagine I tell them, I try to explain that it's like a notebook with lines, as if I were here and they were moving me up line by line, and each line had its own planets, its own forms of life, its own beings, some biological, others not so biological, different colors, different idiosyncrasies.
It's like an onion.
Yes.
With layers.
Yes, layers. And now I tell them it's like a matryoshka, right? I mean, as far as your consciousness reaches, they keep opening you up and pulling you out, and you say, that's it, I've reached the limit. Which one? You've reached the limit of this matryoshka, and then they open it, and there's more and more. So
right.
That was the very first out of the ordinary experience where I was left shaking. I said, what is this? What is this? And they took me to meet the ascended masters, the angels, the archangels, and they took me beyond where the vibrational frequency of the archangels is. And when I came back to myself, which really I never left, it was like I was just watching the movie unfold. I said, so now who do I ask? Because I used to see it like God above, the angels, the archangels, Jesus, Buddha. And they took me even further beyond. I said, and now do I look down at them? And I felt like a heretic. How is it possible that I see them as my brothers, like the same essence? We are the same essence. When I realized that, I said, who?
That's when your mind and your belief systems up to that point were judging you.
Totally, because just imagine 40 years immersed in the Catholic religion, right? That God is outside, all powerful, and you are nothing, you are a sinner. So, and they bring you down, they make you feel small, and yet they still put themselves above you. No, that just blows your mind. So in love, in essence, we are the same. They are fellow travelers, they are different frequencies, and we are at different levels of consciousness. That is what really separates us. If we could say it separates us, but it actually unites us much more. We are united by energy. We are united by love. We are one. And another experience I had that was a channeled one, as I call it. Well, the experience I had. Another one was I went to Chiapas here in Mexico, and I had a divine revelation. That's what I call it. I went to a very beautiful waterfall. The waterfall was right there inside.
In the south, everything is green there.
Everything green and full of mountains, so much connection with nature, beautiful. I was introspecting, climbing all those stairs, hundreds, thousands, I don't know how many, to get to the top of the mountain. And there was the waterfall. I get to the waterfall, and I feel like the waterfall is speaking to me. I can't tell you what words it was saying, but I feel like there was a communication between the waterfall and me, and I was saying, ah. And I started to feel my heart thumping, thump, thump, thump. I closed my eyes, opened my hands, and I was saying, thank you, I am one with you, you are one with me. And I started to exclaim words that came from joy, from pleasure, from happiness, from feeling connected with nature for the first time in my life. And I raised my hands.
A reunion,
a realization that it had always existed, but that we had been blind to it. I mean, no, there just aren't words. And I was there with my hands raised in pure love when I felt hands joining mine, and voices repeating what I was saying. Thank you for this, thank you for life, thank you for life, thank you for the breeze. I love you, I love myself, I am one with you. I mean, things, craziness, and I swear to God, I've never taken any psychedelics or essential medicines.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Nothing, not even chocolate.
No. I understand that those kinds of phenomena can happen, let's say, when you're really open, right? You don't need to have, don't take psychedelics to have experiences like that.
Yes, and there were about 5 women. Esteban holding hands with me when I opened my eyes, and it was so embarrassing because I had already switched into a character mode. I said, oh.
Your mind got involved in the game.
Yes, the head. But we were all crying, mascara running down here, lipstick smeared from all the drool, saliva. I mean, it's an integration, it's a divine experience. And we all hugged each other and said, thank you, we are one. I came down from there, and that's when the most curious part happened, because I started touching the trees, and the trees, I saw them, well, you see matter like this, right? But here, what you and I would call the aura was coming out of them. I mean, there was this little misty, shiny thing coming out of them.
It's field?
It's field. So I wanted to touch it. Of course, I would reach the physical matter and touch it, but when I touched that, the energy, it was like a little electric shock. I don't know how to explain it. It was like mixing my field. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what words to use. It was like my wave mixing with its wave. It's like we're connected in that bioenergetic field, so we connect, and I felt like I was one with that. One with the little mushroom that was there, one with the stone, one with the tree trunk. I mean, we really are one. I mean, realizing it through experience, because I had already been repeating it and reading books, metaphysics, knowing that we were one, but having the experience, integrating it into your being, that's different.
Living it from there, from experience. You know, I can actually add a little something here. From our perspective, from structure, from matter, and from reason, we understand that physical structures are separate, right? So you think you're touching the tree? No. But objectively, you never actually touch the tree, because if we look at it on a very micro level, what really happens is that the electrons basically repel each other, right? They repel each other, and that's why you feel the sensation of matter. But objectively, if you think about what an atom is, the subatomic particles are insignificant within that space. That is 99.999% of that space is empty. And mainly, ultimately, we are energy. If we could actually touch the tree, physically touch it, there would be nuclear fission, Gi, and that would be an explosion like a nuclear bomb, because the subatomic particles would be disrupted. The electrons would shoot off, and there would be a chain reaction. So, Arsa, even from that perspective, our way of understanding reality is ultimately nothing more than an interpretation of it. But we have never actually touched anything in this existence.
Exactly. No, it's crazy, but it's the reality I live in, and I love finding other crazy people like you and like those who might be watching us here. I love it because we are the new crazies who can talk about all these topics, even that thing you said at the end. My guides have told me the same thing. They say, this is only a projection of your mind, but not of this small biological human mind, like an incipient one. What you have there is an incipient mind, they tell me. What it really is this great mind, and everything in this universe is mind, and you are part of that mind. You are making a holographic projection down there. You believe that is real because you are experiencing the world of emotions. So how do you want to experience all those emotions? It's crazy because I don't know much about quantum physics. I know what I need to know because my classes have been given to me in the astral, the quantum physics ones, but I've never actually read a book or really gone to a workshop or anything like that. But what I know is from my own experiences, and I want to finish telling you about that experience I felt by saying that in my hand, this aura started to appear. I started to see it, and I just stood there watching it. And there were some other ladies who were coming by because the place was kind of deserted. There weren't many people around. I said to them, do you see what? And yes, several of them, 3 or 4 people, started taking pictures of my hand, of my body, and there was an energy coming out, captured in the photographs. So it's not that I'm some enlightened one or that I was becoming enlightened. No, it was a divine revelation that had to come to me at that moment because I was in full connection at the exact right time, at the precise moment in my life, after having gone through dark nights of the soul. After asking myself those transcendental questions, I was receiving that kind of confirmation, like now, up now, realize it once and for all. So that also had a positive impact on the lives of the other people who are still in my life. We have a chat where we talk and everything, and we share these mystical things, and it was as revealing for them as it was for me. Well, that's how, from the world of the psychic spirit, from the invisible, it has impacted my life. But there are many stories.
How beautiful. Very beautiful experience, very beautiful experience. Is there any recurring message that your guides give you that you could share with us? Recurring?
Let's see, lately, they've made me... Look, here I have my notebook where I do the sessions, so I'm going to flip back a bit. The task? Yes, the task is not to save the world, it's not to save anyone, because many times we have a savior complex, you wanting to help others. And that's fine, because from the heart of a noble person, you feel that empathy to help others. However, feeling like a savior also comes from the ego. So you do it to save yourself, to glorify yourself, to give yourself a gold star and feel bigger than you are. It's time, though, to move away from me and mine. My wife, my family, my child, my belief, my religion, my pastor, my company.
Exactly.
Step out of the me.
When you ask questions or make statements and you remove the me, when everything changes. Try doing that exercise.
Everything changes, yes.
They deceived me. Or this person deceives me. No, this person deceives. Everything changes, right?
Exactly, everything changes because you're doing it. You're realizing that everything is just props. Everything outside is part of the play. So that we all came to perform and everyone has their role. So the role that fell to him is that of the unfaithful one by Grandiosa. But he was the one who had to play it. Now, how do you want to react to that? What is your character? What is the action of your character? So step out of the me and step out of the ego. Recognize yourself and act from who you truly are, a being of consciousness, and open up and expand love. And they call it the secret chamber where the heart resides. But it's not really the heart as an organ. It's the field. It's the atomic field that I believe we are in as physicists. The biology is immersed in the atomic field. It's not that the atomic field is in the pineal gland or in the ka or in the heart but just to show you something here. In the threefold flame, in the atomic field is where we can where we can amplify our electromagnetic field. If you don't understand, you who are watching us, what this is, simply guide your life away from ego, from the persona, and stay close to love, insta kindness and charity, Focus on being the best version of yourself in coherence with your whole being, and from there, you heal others, you impact others, you heal the world, you prevent wars, you save abandoned children, and you heal yourself. And when you heal yourself, you heal everyone. So that's the recurring message.
Excellent. Hey, Jess, I've always been intrigued by how you define yourself on social media, which is like way gooey thing. Amazing like you. Where does that come from? What's behind that? Share that with us.
Oh, that one day I was in my garden, and they, my guides and I, always introspecting, always in silence. When you're immersed in a third-dimensional world full of people talking and feeding you beliefs and thoughts, what you read, what you see, what you hear, all of that influences who you are. So I spent many years, 10 years, 15 years, distancing myself from everything, staying away from social media, from people, from social circles, from parties. Boom, there came a point when it was just me and my children, and I was homeschooling them. So we created a kind of symbiosis between me, my higher self, my guides, and my children. And then suddenly, as my children each developed their own interests, went through adolescence and became adults, it was just me with my own I am, my higher self. So there were some very internal, very deep conversations going on for many years. And one time I was in my garden, chatting on WhatsApp with some friends, and I said, I'm perceiving, actually, that's another story I want to tell you right now, which really impacted me. And this one is definitely mediumistic. I was actually receiving a mother. They told me a grieving mother is going to come to you and we want you to help her. Just to put it into words, right? It didn't come to me exactly like that, but to explain, that's how it was. And I was like, what mother? Whose mother? And how am I supposed to help her if I'm just a lady who waters her plants, cooks, and takes care of her kids at home, right? And they said to me, no, please help her. 2 days later, I was telling my friends about this on WhatsApp. And like I said, I just got a message from someone who told me, "Boss, I know you can talk, or to those who have already passed away. I desperately need to talk to my son. I am a desperate mother." She didn't say I am, Lupita Lopez. I am a desperate mother. Please help me. I read that, and for 2 days I had been getting this feeling. A mother is going to come, and you are going to help her. And I write to them, and everything fits.
It was clear.
Everything. And I write to my friends, oh, I'm scared. What am I going to do? How did she get my phone number? Inside my house, I don't share my phone number with anyone. How did this lady know who she is? Where did she come from? And one of them tells me, oh, don't worry. You are amazing. You will be able to do it. Don't be afraid. We will be here with you, sending you light. They are Reiki practitioners all into this energetic world. I was nothing, not even a course, not a workshop, nothing. And she tells me, you are amazing. And I keep reading that. I am amazing. I am amazing. What should I reply? And I wrote, I am amazing. Like you. That was pure divine inspiration. And they tell me, now you are going to open a channel on TikTok. I didn't even know what TikTok was. I'm talking about 2019, 2020. During the pandemic, I think TikTok was just starting out back then. And they show me a T with the TikTok symbol. I see it here. And they tell me, you're going to open TikTok and you're going to name it Amazing. Like you. Me. No. What? Great. Like you. So, that's when I received it, and I immediately grabbed a notebook so I wouldn't forget and wrote it down. So, it was something dictated. Something inspired to a friend at just the right moment to give me strength and tell me, you are amazing like God. You are powerful. You are a creator of realities. You can do it. You are not alone. And what you see in us, because they were Reiki practitioners who could see angels, channel things, but me, nothing, or so I thought. I was just a woman at home. Nobody knew who I was. And they tell me, you are amazing. And then they tell them, you are amazing. I am amazing like you, and that's what you will call yourself. Let others see in you all the potential of the being that they can also become, and that they have every ability to do so by connecting with their own God, with their own I am, their own inner divinity. So that's where it came from.
I see that you let yourself be inspired and take it into account. You really take into account the information you receive from your guides. That reminds me of a friend who will also be on this channel soon, so I'll let you know. When she's here, Kote Yuneman, who is also a channeler, and she follows her day-to-day life 100% according to the instructions from her guides, even if From a rational perspective, they don't make sense to her, or she doesn't understand them, but she really takes them into account, you know.
It's very difficult, Esteban, to break away. Let's call it, to give it a name from the matrix, to break out of the already established structure. And guide yourself, as I tell people, from that inner voice of the spirit. It goes beyond the soul, which is a topic for another time. It's about guiding yourself by your own essence, by your own spirit. And yesterday I was talking with these friends whom I actually saw yesterday, and they were telling me, what you do is so difficult. How do you listen to yourself? How do you know it's not your mind? How do you know it's not your ego? How do you know you won't make a mistake? No, it's not that I know I won't make a mistake. I take each step with certainty. This is what I received. This is what I perceived. And that's where I go. But there's a cliff below. I don't know how to swim, and they send you down there. I don't care. That's where I'm going, and you go for it. And when you do it, Esteban, a world of infinite possibilities opens up. I live in a miraculous world. When I follow the voice of the spirit, I live in a world. Everything is given to you. Everything opens up for you with total ease. People come, situations arise, everything expands practically without you doing anything. What is it that you have to do? Be in coherence with what the voice of the spirit tells you. And by being, you receive the how-to, the steps, the people, the circumstances, and then the having. And the having, speaking of the material world, comes to you like a resonant magnet if you are, in essence, what you are meant to be. So, I already said, I let go. I surrender, I listen. If they send me to Timbuktu, I'll go to Timbuktu. If they send me to Colombia, Argentina, Spain, wherever they call me, well, I'll be there. And they tell me, go anchor energies, they say to me. And how do you do that? They've never told me. This is how you do it. See? On December 21st, you have to be in Chile.
Okay?
Me? Where? To the Patagonia region. And I'm like, ande ko na go and look up the Chile, Patagonia, those, buy a ticket and head over there. And there I am. And what am I supposed to do? Nothing. Sometimes I don't get any information. I don't connect. I feel like nothing's happening, but I'm there. 2-3 days, a week later, they tell me, thanks for completing the mission. And I'm like, what mission? I didn't do anything. I just walked around, explored, got to know trees, mountains big, met wonderful people, but no, I didn't feel like I did anything. It's not about doing. It's about being. And by being the light, by being love, by expanding your atomic field, that which cannot be seen, the energy of the coherence of who you are, you positively impact the geographic place where you are. You impact the people. So now I talk about the magnificent effect. I tell them wherever I am, it's not about me as a character, my purple hair, my words. No. It's the electromagnetic field that I radiate thanks to the coherence of 15 years of work, which impacts positively or negatively, however it may be, but it energetically affects the places and the people I'm with. Because wherever I stay overnight with people, or the people who kindly as volunteers take me and bring me, pick me up at the airport, we spend time together, they say, I couldn't sleep. Last night I sensed it, I was awakened, I had an astral dream. I'm seeing, I'm going, I'm perceiving, I'm hearing, I'm smelling. What happened? I just spent some time with you and everything was triggered in me. And I say, welcome. That's the magnificent effect, Mike, of having contact with a being who lives in this mystical, mysterious, miraculous world, and who makes you see the potential of your own being. What you see in me is possible in you. So it's like they plant a little spark in you so that you can seek your own essence. So it's beautiful.
You know, well, not long ago we had an interview with someone else, and she said that if she had to define the life of a medium, she would call it magic. And I thought that was really great. It totally resonates. And in the case of the friend I was telling you about, just imagine the level at which things work out for her. She used to run some training sessions, charged a certain amount, and had a certain number of people who would usually attend her sessions. She asked her guides for something different because she wanted to change her lifestyle a bit. And they gave her an instruction, but the instruction didn't make sense to her because from her perspective, it was going to make things worse. When she did it, because she takes it very seriously. She would usually say something like, but how? The guide said she had to get 250 students when she was lucky to get 20 or 25. And I have to, and it made me try to, the numbers just don't add up. Well, fine. She did it. And in 10 days, she had the people, you know? It's like magic. basically magical situations happen.
Want to
And that's why you have to.
Yes. You have to follow the voice of the spirit, the voice of your soul, the voice of your own guides. And I want to, I have so many stories as you talk. One story comes to mind, then another, then another. We're not going to have enough time.
That's right. We could talk all night about stories, and that's without me even sharing mine. This interview is just for you.
Then I'll interview you. How about that?
Sounds great to me. Hey, well, obviously you work on an energetic level. Obviously you work on an energetic level and you handle your experiences energetically. I don't even have to ask you that because I'm sure that's how it is. But for example, someone who is experiencing these kinds of things, who understands and feels, who connects with other things, with other planes, something more subtle, could you give them any advice on how to manage their energy? Because suddenly that could be an interesting tip for the people watching this interview.
An energy tip?
Managing their energy. If it's someone who is opening up, who has some degree of perception, they know it, but they don't have much knowledge or experience. Because I think you do need to manage your energetic fields a bit sometimes.
Well, very good. If you're already noticing that, you can even feel the emotions or feelings of other incarnate people. Let's not even talk about the disincarnate. However, when it comes to the spirit world as well, disincarnate beings of light and so on, if you're sensing that there's something there, there's something very fundamental that we've forgotten, and it's good to remember. You have free will. And from the power of your free will, you can say, at this moment, I close all my fields, I close all my bodies, I close all my dimensions, I close all my timelines to contact with any being external to myself. At this moment, by the power of my free will, I close all contact. I do not allow contact with I was, and you can add the list if you want to use words because they're just labels, but from your own intention to do it, that's enough. But you can call them demons, lower astral beings, the dead, the departed, however you want to label them, right? Any energy that is discordant with mine. And I only connect with the love that I am. And so you remain vibrating in your own field of love. But without contacting or getting wrapped up in that bioenergetic field like a soup that we mix into when we're with other situations, in other places, at parties, in hospitals, at wakes, at gatherings. We mix together like, you don't see it, but it's a bioenergetic soup that blends together and thoughts, feelings, egregores, and all sorts of things get mixed in, right? So, number 1, you need to exercise and assert your free will from the power of your intention. And number 2, there's something I like to suggest when people have more a perception, like, oh, there's a disembodied being coming, when they feel goosebumps or something on the back or a vibration here. So I tell them this, something that worked for me when I didn't know how to manage opening and closing my field is imagine a pyramid. I tell them it's like a pyramid, but you have it upside down like this and you go through life open. It's like a funnel. And from the world of spirit, it comes into your field like through a straw, and it permeates you, and you're receiving everything, like an antenna. That's how you've lived your whole life without realizing it. So, now, from the power of my intention, by the power of I am, God within me, by my own Christ presence, I do not accept, and by my own free will I cancel and close my channel, my means of communication. And you imagine the pyramid now, with the tip perfectly closed and sealed up here? And all the information that exists out there will continue to exist, but it will slide off you as if you had a field. And it slips off like a waterfall around you, and you're there with your umbrella. And everything is flowing and passing around you, but it's not soaking into you. So now you have the key to open and close. In my case, I don't know if it's the same for those of us who already do this every single day. I already do 6 to 8 consultations a day. So, well, I go to the supermarket and I'm already perceiving things. Oh, that one is fighting. Oh, that one is about to get divorced. Oh, this one is with his grandmother. So, no matter how much I put up my umbrella or the inverted pyramid, I can always perceive things. But it's one thing for me to perceive them from behind my transparent, invisible, electromagnetic, invisible, impenetrable curtain. It's another thing for me to...
Magnificent.
From behind my magnificent curtain, I can see and perceive them, and it's another thing to allow them into my field, okay? I'm buying tomatoes, I'm buying vegetables right now. I'm not in connection. If you want to come to me in connection, come when I'm with your relative, come when I'm asleep, and give me a clear, concise message, one that will help you or the relative or the person you want to contact. Not right now, young man. Right now, yes, young man. You have the power through your free will.
Exactly. Thus, that's something I see repeatedly, like us, with medium friends of mine, friends who I know are real mediums, who at some point have had to set boundaries about how far they go or when. And that, I always tell people, it's as simple as focusing and telling those from the beyond, for example, those on the other side, look, I'm not going to do sessions under these conditions in this context. There are spaces for that. This yes, this no. I can't help you. And in the case of someone, for example, who has mediumistic abilities and can perceive and is approached by people wanting to communicate but doesn't feel capable, deep down they can also have a sort of dialogue with these people and tell them, look, I don't feel qualified to help you, so no. I'd prefer if you didn't, please don't come closer. And they are very respectful in that sense. My experience is that they are extremely respectful, and as long as you make things clear, they won't invade your space anymore.
Absolutely, my love. And that happened to me. I've had a lot of those experiences. You talk and I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this. My friend Cynthia, whom I love, and like you said, I recognize my friends who are mediums, even if they haven't come out of the closet, but they do have the ability to perceive. The same thing happened to her. In a dream state, a being comes to her and tells her, I'm so-and-so, I'm this many years old. She sees her and describes her. She says, wow, I don't know how to help you. I mean, no, what do you want? But I don't know your parents, I don't know how to help you. I mean, no. And she started to close herself off and remembered, but I have a friend named Akisha. Look, I'll think about it. And if you can, from where you are, go and tell her. Perfect. In the early morning, my friend wakes up and writes to me, oh, notice that this happened. I see the message the next day at noon. And when I was in a session, I tell the person in front of me, a girl with hair like this. No, that's not my daughter. It's not my niece. Well, there she is. I finish the session and I say, okay, who are you? Who is there? Why? What do you need? And she says to me, I want to give this message. So I record a video saying a girl named Crystal who has hair like this, whose mom is named this, whose dad is named this. The parents show up on TikTok and she tells me, it's because my parents watch you on TikTok. The parents appear on TikTok, they send me a message, and the channel to reach me was my other friend in the dream. So, and she told her, I can't help you, but she can. And she was able to reach me because, well, imagine I usually close myself off to everything. When I do a medium session, I first do 2, 3, 4, as many validations as I need to give you until it's clear to you that the being I'm contacting is your loved one who has passed on. If I don't get confirmation from you, I don't continue that conversation, right? So there's a line I tell people, it's like the line for tortillas at the supermarket, you know? If I open myself up to everyone, then it turns into a big wild mess. So that's not what it's about. So
sure,
with this girl, I felt her that way and I saw her, and they are they're very respectful. I tell people here on earth, we don't respect free will. If someone is going to mug you or has bad intentions toward you and you say, by my free will, I tell you to stay away. Which? Nah, give me your phone, your jewelry, your purse, and whatever else you've got.
of course.
Of course. But over there, it's not like that. You say, by my free will. And spirits are very respectful. You have to set boundaries. And, well, that's what I wanted to tell you.
Do you think that at some point spirituality and science will converge? What do you think about that? Now that science is advancing so quickly, sometimes I think about everything related, for example, to artificial intelligence. Do you think that at some point there will be some kind of device that can connect with the afterlife? Do you think that At some point, science will reach that level.
Look, well, what I've been told, and right now I'm feeling like little tingles back here that
Oh, look at that.
the most sophisticated device on this earth, far removed from any household appliance or anything electric, electronic, or with chips and material things, in quote, is you. You. The human, the new light human, the new conscious human, come equipped from your DNA, your cells, receiving these new energies from the sun, these new photons, this new field, electronic, electromagnetic, like a shockwave, like a nuclear bomb. It will reach you, you will impact another. They show us as if we were torches. One torch lights another, one torch lights another. If you do your part, take care of your body, take care of your mind, your thoughts, your heart, your right actions, your right way of living, in coherence with the voice of your soul. That is the greatest technology that exists here on earth. The dark ones, the dense ones, the beings of negative polarity, the elite, whatever you want to call them, nor any artificial intelligence will be able to reach you. That's on one hand. On the other hand, I've been told the two paths that you see as separate spirituality and science, they converge. It's really a single path that at some point is split, and that will come together again, because they seek the same thing: to know who I am, where I am, and where I am going. Some approach it through spirituality, others through science, and the moment is coming and is already arriving, when they will converge. And we're at a point now where I believe quantum physics is helping us a lot with that unification. And regarding artificial intelligence, I have my reservations. It can be very helpful. But for now, I haven't downloaded anything or interacted with ChatGPT, nor do I want to put any information in there. Although I do use, of course, technological devices like my phone, the iPad, and so on for reading, I use them in a more organic, or more human, more spiritual way, more focused on my own self-growth, and without wanting any external thing, any kind of intelligence or robot to give me any answers from the outside. So artificial intelligence and I still don't really get along very well, but I am sure that science and spirituality will come together. Yes, because I've already been told so.
Yes, the development of artificial intelligence is growing exponentially. And in fact, I was listening to a specialist from MIT who said that given how fast it's advancing, just imagine, it really stuck with me. In 20 more years, people will have something like a chip implanted in their heads and will be connected to the cloud, like the internet. He said that you practically won't need a phone anymore to communicate with someone. Instead, you'll do it mentally. And I thought, this is like technological telepathy.
Exactly.
Something is going to happen. And he said that in the end, people will have to integrate into that world or they'll be left out, because the data processing capacity and everything that comes with it, for many people, it would be like in the end, 100% would depend on that, because otherwise you'd become obsolete, since your own mind's ability to analyze data, for example, would be much less than what you could do by accessing these tools. It's the same as an engineer who does structural calculations or for a building, whether they do it mentally or with a sheet of paper and a pencil. Now, obviously, they have programs, software on the computer, and they're going to use them because the work they do in an hour would take 3 days if they did it manually or mentally, let's say. So on one hand, it sounds good, but on the other hand, there's something about it that seems quite horrifying to me from my perspective.
I also think it's exactly a twisted way of creating a new humanity. And we already know from which side it's being created, from manipulation, from the means of control. And many people might say, but it's good because before I used a calculator, and now I can just use my voice to calculate the area of this, and this, and boom, done, perfect. Yes, it might seem good for now in the short term. That life has already been shown to me. I have seen it's just that I tell people I see the future, but I don't actually see the future. I remember the future. It's as if it already happened. It's an experience because I go through it, I live it, and I say that already happened. But it's a possible timeline.
Of course, because deep down, linear time belongs to this plane. but in other planes, it's a single unit. I mean, past, present, and future are the same.
Absolutely.
And we've already lived through that.
Absolutely. So that timeline appears to me and I see everything robotized, everyone with chips. And I ask, how is it possible that people go along with that? And they tell me, don't worry, the conscious people, those who keep using their awareness, their natural intelligence, their connection with their own divine flame, their heart and their original source, will start to separate like the wheat from the chaff. And right now we are already in 2. Imagine this is the Earth. They show me the Earth converging with another identical Earth. And they're like this, they're about to do this. And the 3rd dimension, more technologically advanced with artificial intelligence, with these chips controlling the mind there, will remain in one place. And the conscious beings, more inclined toward the organic, toward their own agriculture, to being aware of what they put into their bodies, to acting righteously, to being like a single unit. What's yours is mine, your family is my family, your children are my children. They will be by resonance. You don't need to do anything. By resonance, you will be called to join this kind of people who are aligned with you. And those over here, well, them too. There is nothing bad or good, it's perfect. Everyone chooses their own path, their own destiny, and that exists. In my vision of the future, which I tell you is actually remembering the past, it already exists. That is going to happen, it is happening. In fact, 3 days ago, today, I received a channeling about nanotechnology. They say, many people say, how is it possible that people are going to go to the operating room to open themselves up, to put a chip in here or insert to get an implant with a chip to make life easier? Whatever it is, you don't need to do that. Food already contains nanotechnology, and they showed it to me like it was a magnet. You scrape it and powder comes off, and that powder is put into chemical products, into artificial flavorings, colorings, all the chemicals, heavy metals, fertilizers, hormones for growth, for animals, for plants. All of these that they use to water, care for, and make the entire food industry grow, making things tastier, more colorful, more appealing, more addictive, already contains nanotechnology. And that's the fine powder you don't even notice. And those are chips, they're really nanotechnology. And how is it activated? I asked them, but okay, they're already in my body. I've already eaten it in an orange. Supposedly, I'm eating very healthy, right? But I already bless my food. I deprogram it from nanotechnology, from chemicals, harmful substances for my body. I program it with love, with health, with alkalinity, and so on and so on. I've already done that. He told me, even if you've done that, the power of your intention is very strong. The biological body receives, your organs receive those nanochips, those microchips, that nanotechnology. And I said, how is it activated? It is activated by fear. And how do you trigger fear? With devices, even household appliances, watching television, watching a war, they show you an accident right around the corner from your house. Watching confrontations, kidnappings, and people being killed near your neighborhood. So with fear, those things come out and connect. And that's how they have you under control. So he says, before it was very organic, but now people are waking up a lot. They're becoming aware. So they're stopping. They're meditating. They're taking care of their diet. They're stopping watching television. But for those who are straying from the flock, they're also being herded back in en masse. Just as there is a massive awakening of consciousness, there is also an equally strong effort on the other side, because we are in that reality, in a dual world. So they tell me, stay away from the microwave. If you are a conscious being, you should have stopped using the microwave years ago. Stay away from television. Okay, I'm talking about the open channels, talking about not being conscious, but about watching things that really make you go deeper into who I am, asking yourself the real deep questions, and so on and so forth.
Deep questions.
You choose what to watch, not what they tell you to watch and how to act. So
Exactly, which is exactly what social media does in the end.
Exactly.
Because ultimately what they want is for you not to be a sentient being. It's just distraction. It's always distraction, so that you don't have moments of silence, which is the most basic thing.
Total. So we live in a distracted world, and people say they don't have time to meditate. I call those moments of silence meditation, but I practice a meditation of full observation. Sit in a park, take your kids out for a walk, sit on a bench. I'm here and now. What do you feel on your buttocks sitting on the bench? What does your skin feel when the sun hits it? What does the crown of your head feel when the wind moves your hair? I mean, what does silence sound like? What does the sound of that straw falling sound like? How the scream of that child, how does it affect his mother? Observe everything, everything. That is meditation, being present. I'm cutting a carrot and listen to how it sounds and how the knife sounds on. That is being present. That is conscious meditation. And spending all your time on television or social media watching all that drama, sure, it's nice, but time slips away. Life slips away and you're never aware of the reality you're creating.
People say they don't have time to meditate, but you could ask them how many hours they spend on TikTok or on Instagram or YouTube. I don't know. It's like, and for the most part, a lot of things that really honestly don't add any real value. Besides, people need to understand that the only reality is the present, because in the end, what is the past? Basically, it's a mental construct made up of memories, and the future, more than anything, is just imagination. But deep down, the only thing we really have is this very moment, and this moment is unique and will never be repeated again in history. You see what I mean? So that's what we need to learn to value again. To wrap up, my dear, what message would you like to give to the people who are watching this interview?
I could give you so many, but one that comes to me right now, and nothing is a coincidence, or is to tell you, you don't need me, because a lot of people come thinking they need a channeler or a medium to connect with the spirit world, with your father, with your child who has already passed on. You don't need anyone external. You need yourself, digamiyas, and the path is inward. So in my workshops, I also explain and teach you how to make contact yourself. I tell them 3 steps. You need to think about your loved one. Love them. Feel the greatest love. That moment, recall the moment of deepest connection, love and fulfillment that you felt for them. Speak, because words have power. Talk to them, express yourself, say, I forgive you, I love you, I set myself free, I set you free. Everything was perfect. Thank you. And from there you begin to perceive, but first you need to know yourself. How do you perceive your body, your being? How do you perceive the external world? If I get goosebumps, if my hair stands on end, if I feel cold, if I feel hot, if my hands get numb, if I have a vision, if I imagine something, if I smell tobacco, smell oranges because he had an orange grove, or even if I smell manure or hear like the tractor my grandfather used to drive. I mean, or suddenly a feather fell, or Alexa turned on, or the light bulb started flickering like this. You need to get to know yourself first. And only then can you go and listen to the spirit world that you so much want to know, understand, or contact. But as for whether you need me or Esteban or any other medium or channeler, the answer is no. And I don't make people dependent on...
I agree.
Not on sessions nor on workshops. I give you a wake-up call and a life vest and throw it to you. I deliver the message from your loved ones and I tell you, you can do this on your own. Never come back to me again. How often? When can I come back? In 2 months? Never. Now you know how to do it. Go and do it in peace, in harmony, without fear, and with love. Who better than you, who loves your loved ones so much and whose spirit lived 30, 40 years in union with you? Who leaves the body but remains a spirit? And as a spirit, we can communicate without biological necessity. They can communicate from love with the one they have loved the most. Me, who didn't even know them, or you. The fact that I have developed this skill, talent, gift, or whatever you want to call it, just because I know myself better, because my own path has led me there, doesn't mean that you don't know how. So let me tell you that you have the potential to connect there with God, with your own guide, with your angels, archangels, whatever you want to call them, and likewise, with your own departed, loved ones. Look inward, introspect, and connect with them.
Wonderful. Dear Akisha, thank you, Pankiat, for being here with us today.
No, my dear, thank you so much. I still have a lot of questions to ask you, so I predict that later on I'll have you here on this side asking you a whole bunch of questions as well. and something they're telling me, so some remind them. To you who are watching this, if you don't know whether mediumship or channeling is your path, they're telling me, remind them that the world needs more people like you. And the messages that come to you are not for you to keep, they are to expand the light that you are and the light of the consciousness of others, so that they know that the visible world is totally natural, is totally real, and that they know at least that death does not exist. It is one of the greatest lies we've been made to believe. It's time to wake up and reconnect with who you are and to remember who you truly are. Thank you, Esteban, for this beautiful space.
No, I should be the one thanking you. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it. Your comments are always welcome. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe. That is a tremendous help for us. That way we can grow and bring this content to many more people. And before you go, Maratip, I recommend this video where we explain how a medium works to find missing people. See you in the next episode.